Welcome to day 59 of reading for 30 minutes every single day for the rest of my life. Tonight we got The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm starting 30 minutes on the clock. We're at the bottom of page 179. 30 minutes starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. Day 59. A letter from me from Gandalf? Cried Frodo. Ah, said Mr. Butterbur, then your right name is Baggins. It is, said Frodo, and you had better give me that letter at once and explain why you never sent it. That's what you came to tell me, I suppose, though you've taken a long time to come to the point. Poor Mr. Butterbur looked troubled. You're right, master, he said, and I beg your pardon, and I am mortal afraid of what Gandalf will say if harm comes to it. But I didn't keep it back a purpose. I put it by safe. Then I couldn't find nobody willing to go to the Shire next day nor the day after, and none of my own folk were to spare. And then one thing after another drove out of my mind. I'm a busy man. I'll do what I can to set matters right, and if there's any help I can give you, you've only to name it. Leaving the letter aside, I promised Gandalf no less. Barely, he says to me, this friend of mine from the Shire, he may be coming out of this way before long, him and another. He'll be calling himself Underhill. Mind that, but you need ask no questions. And if I am not with him, he may be in trouble, and he may need your help. Do whatever you can for him, and I'll be grateful, he says. And here you are, and trouble is not far off, seemingly. What do you mean? Asked Frodo. These black men, said the landlord, lowering his voice. They're looking for Baggins, and if they mean well, then I'm a hobbit. It was on Monday, and all the dogs were yammering and these geese screaming. Uncanny, I called it. Nob, he came and told me that 2 black men were at the door asking for a hobbit called Baggins. Nob's hair was all stood on end. I bid the black fellows be off and slammed the door on them. But they've been asking the same question. All the way to Arkek, I hear. And that ranger, Strider, he's been asking questions too. Tried to get in here to see you. Before you'd had bite or sup, he did. He did, said Strider suddenly, coming forward into the light. And much trouble would have been saved if you had let him in, Barlaman. The landlord jumped with surprise. You, he cried. You're always popping up. What do you want now? He's here with my leave, said Frodo. He came to offer me his help. Well, you know your own business, maybe, said Mr. Butterbur, looking suspiciously at Strider. But if I was in your plight, I wouldn't take it up with a ranger. Then who would you take it up with? Asked Strider, a fat innkeeper who only remembers his own name because people shouted at him all day. They cannot stay in the pony forever, and they cannot go home. They have a long road before them. Will you go with them and keep the black men off? Me? Leave Bree? I wouldn't do that for any money, said Mr. Butterbur, looking really scared. But why can't you stay here quiet for a bit, Mr. Underhill? What are all these queer goings on? What are these black men after, and where do they come from? I'd like to know. I'm sorry, I can't explain it all, answered Frodo. I am tired and very worried, and it's a long tale, but if you mean to help me, I ought to warn you that you will be in danger as long as I am in your house. These black riders, I am sure, but I fear they come from Mordor, said Strider in a lower voice. From Mordor Barlaman, if that means anything to you. Save us, cried Butterbur, turning pale. The name evidently was known to him. That was the worst news that has come to Bree in my time. It is, said Frodo. Are you still willing to help me? I am, said Mr. Butterbur, more than ever. Though I don't know what the likes of me can do against he faltered. Against the shadow of the east, said Strider quietly. Not much, Barlaman, but every little helps. You can let Mr. Underhill stay here tonight, as Mr. Underhill and you can forget the name of Baggins, till he is far away. I'll do that, said Butterbur, but they'll find out he's here without help from me, I'm afraid. It's a pity Mr. Baggins drew attention to himself this evening, to say no more. The story of that Mr. Bilbo's going off has been heard before tonight in Bree. Even our Nob has been doing the same guessing in a low, slow pate, and there are others in Bree quicker in the uptake than he is. Well, we can only hope the riders won't come back yet, said Frodo. I hope not indeed, said Butterbur. But spooks or no spooks, they won't get in the pony so easy. Don't you worry till the morning. Nob'll say no word. The black man shall pass my doors. While I can stand on my legs, me and my folk will keep watch tonight, but you had best get some sleep if you can. In any case, we must be called at dawn, said Frodo. We must get off as early as possible. Breakfast at 6:30, please. Right, I'll see the orders and the landlord. Good night, Mr. Baggins Underhill, I should say. Good night now. Bless me, where's your Mr. Brandybuck? I don't know, said Frodo with sudden anxiety. I don't know, said Frodo with sudden anxiety. They had forgotten all about Merry, and it was getting late. I'm afraid he is out. He said something about going for a breath of fresh air. Well, do you want looking after? What do you want looking after? No mistake. Your party might be on a holiday, said Butterbur. I must go and bar the doors quick, but I'll see you, friend. I'll see your friend. I'll see your friend is let to when he comes. I'd better send Nob to look out for him. Good night to you all. At last, Mr. Butterbur went out, and with another doubtful look at Strider and a shake of his head, his footsteps retreated with the passage. Well, said Strider, what are you going to do? When are you going to open that letter? Frodo looked carefully at the seal before he broke it. It seemed certainly to be Gandalf's. Inside, written in the wizard's strong but graceful script, was the following message. What did Gandalf say? 14:18. Dear Frodo, bad news has reached me here. I must go off at once. You had better leave Bag End soon and get out of the Shire before the end of July at latest. I will return as soon as I can, and I will follow you. If I find that you are gone, leave a message for me here. If you pass through Bree, you can trust the landlord, Butterbur. You may meet a friend of mine on the road, a man, lean, dark, tall, by some called Strider. He knows over business and will help you. Make for Rivendell. There I hope we meet again. If I do not come, Elrond will advise you. Yours in haste. Gandalf. P.S. Do not use it again, not for any reason whatever. Do not travel by night. P.P.S. Make sure that it is the real Strider. There are many strange men on the roads. His true name is Aragorn. All that gold does not glitter. Not all who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes of a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadow shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king. PPPS. I hope Butterbur sends this promptly. A worthy man, but his memory is like a lumber room. Things wanted always buried. If he forgets, I shall roast him. Farewell. Frodo read the letter to himself and then passed it to Pippin and Sam. Really, old Butterbur has made a mess of things, he said. He deserves roasting. If I had got this at once, we might have all been safe in Rivendell by now. But what can have happened to Gandalf? He writes as if he was going into great danger. He has been doing that for many years, said Strider. Frodo turned and looked at him thoughtfully, wondering about Gandalf's second postscript. Why didn't you tell me that you were Gandalf's friend at once? He asked. It would have saved time. Would it? Would any of you have believed me till now? Said Strider. I knew nothing of this letter. For all I knew, I had to persuade you to trust me without proofs. If I were to help you, in any case, I did not intend to tell you all about myself at once. I had to study you first and make sure of you. The enemy has set traps for me before now. As soon as I had made up my mind, I was ready to tell you whatever you asked, but I must admit, he added with a queer laugh, that I hoped you would have taken me for my own sake. A hunted man sometimes wearies of distrust for longs for friendship. But there, I believe my looks are against me. They are, at first sight at any rate, laughed Pippin with sudden relief after reading Gandalf's letter. But handsome is as handsome does, as we say in the Shire, and I dare say we shall all look much the same after lying for days in hedges and ditches. It would take more than a few days or weeks or years of wandering in the wild to make look like Strider, he answered. And you would die first, unless you were made of sterner stuff than you look to be. Pimpin subsided, but Sam was not daunted, and he still eyed Strider dubiously. How do we know you were the Strider that Gandalf speaks about? He demanded. You never mentioned Gandalf till this letter came out. You might be a play-acting spy for all I can see, trying to get us to go with you. You might have done in the real Strider and took his clothes. What have you say to that? What have you say to that? That you are a stout fellow, answered Strider, but I am afraid my only answer to you, Sam Gamgee, is this. If I had killed the real Strider, I could kill you. And I should have killed you already without so much talk. If I was after the ring, I could have it. I could have it. Now! He stood up and seemingly suddenly to grow taller, and his eyes gleamed a light, keen and commanding. Throwing back his cloak, he laid his hand on the hilt of a sword that had hung concealed by his side. They did not dare to move. Sam sat wide-mouthed, staring at him dumbly. But I am the real Strider. Fortunately, he said, looking down at them with his face softened by a sudden smile. I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and if by life or death I can save you, I will. There was a long silence. At last, Frodo spoke with hesitation. I believed that you were a friend before the letter came, he said, or at least I wished to. You have frightened me several times tonight, but I never in the way that servants of the enemy would, or so I would imagine. I think one of his spies would, well, seem fairer and feel fouler, if you understand. I see, laughed Strider. I look foul and feel fair. Is that it? All that is gold does not glitter. Not all who wander are lost. Did the verses apply to you then? Asked Frodo. I cannot make out what they were about. But how did you know that they were in Gandalf's letter, if you have never seen it? I did not know, he answered, but I am Aragorn, and those verses go with that name. He drew out a sword, and they saw that the blade was indeed broken a foot below the hilt. Not much use is it, Sam, said Strider. But the time is near when it shall be forged anew. Sam said nothing. Well, said Strider, with Sam's permission, we all call that settled. Strider shall be your guide. We shall have a rough road tomorrow. Even if we are allowed to leave Bree unhindered, we can hardly hope now to leave it unnoticed. But I shall try to get lost as soon as possible. I know one or two ways out of Bree land, other than the main road. If once we shake out the pursuit, I shall make for Weathertop. Weathertop, said Sam. What's that? It is a hill just to the north of the road, about half away from here. It is a hill just to the north of the road, about halfway from here to Rivendell. It commands a wide view all around, and there we shall have a chance to look about us. Gandalf will make for that point. If he follows us after Weathertop, our journey will become more difficult, and we shall have to choose between various dangers. When did we last see Gandalf? Asked Frodo. Do you know where he is or what he's doing? Strider looked grave. I do not know, he said. I came west with him in the spring. I have often kept watch on the borders of the Shire in the last few years, when he was busy elsewhere. He seldom left it unguarded. We last met on the 1st of May, at Sand Farn down the Brandywine. He told me that his business with you had gone well, and that you would be staring for Rivendell in the last week of September. As I knew he was at your side, I went away on my journey of my own, and that has proved ill, for plainly some news reached him, and I was not at hand to help. I am troubled for the first time since I have known him. We have had messages, even if he could not come himself. When I returned many days ago, I heard the ill news. The tidings had gone far wide that Gandalf was missing, and that the horsemen had been seen. It was the elven folk of the Gildor that had told me this, and later they told me that you had left your home, but there were no news of your leaving Buckland. I had been waiting the east road anxiously. Do you think the Black Riders have anything to do with it? With Gandalf's absence, I mean? Asked Frodo. I do not know of anything else that could have hindered him, except the enemy of himself, said Strider. But do not give up hope. Gandalf is greater than you Shire folk know. As a rule, you can only see his jokes and toys, but this business of ours will be his greatest task. Pimpin yawned. I'm so sorry, he said, but I am dead tired. In spite of all the danger and worry, I must go to bed or sleep where I sit. Where is that silly fellow Mary? It would be the last straw if we had to go out in the dark to look for him. At that moment they heard a door slam, then feet came running along the passage. Mary came in with a rush, followed by Nob. He shut the door hastily and leaned against it. He was out of breath. They stared at him in alarm for a moment before he gasps. I have seen them, Frodo, I have seen them. Black riders, cried Frodo. Where? Black riders, cried Frodo. Where? Here, in the village. I stayed indoors for an hour. Then as you did not come back, I went out for a stroll. I had come back out again and was standing just outside the light of the lamp looking at the stars. Suddenly I shivered and felt something horrible was creeping near. There was a sort of deeper shade among the shadows across the road, just beyond the edge of the lamplight. It slid away at once into the dark without a sound. There was no horse. Which way did it go? Asked Strider, suddenly and sharply. Mary started, noticing the stranger for the first time. Go on, said Frodo. This is a friend of Gandalf's. I will explain later. It seemed to make off up the road eastward, continued Mary. I tried to follow. Of course it vanished almost at once, but went around the corner on as far as the last house of the road. Strider looked at Mary with wonder. You have a stout heart, he said, but it was foolish. I don't know, said Mary. Neither brave nor silly, I think. I could hardly help myself. I seemed to be drawn somehow. Anyway, I went, and suddenly I heard voices by the hedge. One was muttering, and the other was whispering or hissing. I couldn't hear a word that was said. I did not creep any closer because I began to tremble all over. Then I felt terrified, and I turned back, and I was going to bolt home, when suddenly came behind me, and I fell over. I found him, sir, put in Nob. Mr. Butterbur sent me out with a lantern. I went down to the west gate and then back up towards South Gate. Just nigh Bill Ferny's house, I thought I could see something in the road. I couldn't swear to it, but it looked at me as if two men was stooping over something, lifting it. I gave a shout, but when I got up to the spot, there were no signs of them, and only Mr. Brandybuck lying by the roadside. No, Mr. Brandybuck. Mr. Brandybuck. He seemed to be asleep. I thought I had fallen into deep water, he says to me when I shook him. Very queer he was, and as soon as I had roused him, he got back up and ran back here like a hare. I'm afraid that's true, said Mary. Though I don't know what I said, I had an ugly dream, which I can't remember. I went to pieces. I don't know what came over me. I do, said Strider. The Black Breath. The riders must have left their horses outside and passed back through the south gate in secret. They will know all the news now. They have visited Bill Ferny and probably the southerner with a spy as well. Something may happen in the night before we leave Bree. What will happen? Said Mary. Will they attack the inn? No, think not, said Strider. They are not all here yet, and in any case that is not their way. In dark and loneliness they are strongest. They will not only openly attack a house where there are lights, where there are lights and many people, not until they are desperate, not while all the long leagues of Eridor still lie before us. But the power is in terror, and already some in Bree are in their clutch. They will drive these wretches in some evil work, Ferny, and some of the strangers, and maybe the gatekeeper too. They had words with Harry at Westgate on Monday. I was watching them. He was white and shaking when they left him. We seem to have enemies all around, said Frodo. What are we to do? Stay here and do not go in your rooms. They are sure to have found out which those are. The hobbits' rooms have windows looking north and close to the ground. We will all remain together and bar this window and the door. But first Nob and I will fetch your luggage. While Strider was gone, Frodo gave Mary a rapid account of all that had happened since supper. Mary was still reading and pondering Gandalf's letter when Strider and Nob returned. Well, masters, said Nob, I've ruffled up the clothes and put in a bolster down the middle of each bed, and I made a nice imitation of your head with a brown woolen mat, Mr. Bag. Underhill, sir. he added with a grin. Someone drew in this book, bro. Pimpin laughed. Very lifelike, he said, but what will happen when they have penetrated the disguise? We shall see, said Strider. Let us hope to hold the fort till morning. Good night to you, said Nob, and went off to take his part in the watch on the doors. Their bags and gear they piled up on the parlor floor. They pushed a low chair against the door and shut the window. Peering out, Frodo saw the night was still clear. The sickle was swinging bright above the shoulders of Bree Hill. He then closed and barred the heavy inside shutters and drew the curtains together. Strider built up the fire and blew out all the candles. The hobbits lay down on their blankets with their feet towards the hearth, but Strider settled himself in the chair against the door. They talked for a little, for Merry still had several questions to ask. Jumped over the moon, chuckled Merry as he rolled over in his blanket. Very ridiculous of you, Frodo, but I wish I'd have been there to see. The worthies of Bree will be disgusting at 100 years hence. I hope so, said Strider. Then they all fell asleep. Then they all fell silent, and one by one the hobbits dropped off to sleep. The hobbits, name for the plow or great bear. Wow, I didn't know that. Chapter 11, A Knife in the Dark. I'm going to see how much I read. Hold on. A Knife in the Dark. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to read this one in my head. Yes, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Okay. Okay. Alright, so we're at chapter 11, A Knife in the Dark. Yeah. That was 30 minutes of reading every single day for the rest of my life. Day 59. I'm at chapter 11. Chapter 11 for day 60. See y'all in day 60. Let's go.